So they were able to actually watch that streaming funeral service on the TV over the internet. So it was just fantastic.
We need to be thinking about the technology. We need to be thinking about streaming our. Think about our shut-ins that could be participating in worship with us every Sunday, live stream of what's going on. They set one of those things up. The church in Wilmington that I served, I was back there probably 4 or 5 years ago for every year they do a St. Matthew's Sunday, and kind of like what we're going to do for our 50th with all the former pastors. They bring one back a year. And so, and they can take me like once every 7 years, I guess. So I was back there for the second time doing this. And it was the very first Sunday that they had their new camera up. And they weren't showing me in the worship room, but they were streaming it to folks in the congregation that wanted to watch it at home that couldn't be in church. And so this guy, and they had the guy set up in another building, actually, in an office with his little computer, and he's got, and can control the camera from there. Well, I used that opportunity to preach from not in the pulpit. I was everywhere. I was at the font playing in the water. I was showing the kids where I bumped my head when I was doing a children's sermon one day. I was moving all over the place. And after the service, he said, "Pastor," he said, "for our first attempt at streaming, I want to thank you for making it about as difficult as you possibly could. Trying to keep up with you with the camera." But the neat thing about that was they were sending the worship to their folks who couldn't be there. Actually, anybody that was on the internet could watch it.
But you have to remember that there are a lot of people who still are not on the internet.
Oh, I know that.
We have to make sure that we're, like you've been saying, don't forget about the traditional ways while we're doing it together.
Which is why you still print bulletins. Which is why you still do get traditional worship the way we do it. Which is why what we currently do in traditional worship, other than maybe trying to tweak it a little bit and improve it from time to time, doesn't go away. But you add the new to it. And then folks have an option.
I would even add that the technology isn't really necessarily the way that people become aware of you. It's once I've become aware, I've seen the people out in the community. I've been touched by somebody shared their story and shared the story of Christ with you, that you want to go and learn more about it, and that's really where the technology starts coming in.
Yes, I'm so glad you said that. The technology is a tool for us to use, but it's not the end-all, be-all. It's not the reason why. It's not the reason why the church will grow. It goes back to what we talked about earlier. All of these things on these sheets. If we're being loving, caring, if people feel that and sense that, if we make them feel welcome when they're here, whether we're using technology or not, that's the key. But the technology is an incredible piece that keeps connected. Right now, that's how our kids communicate. My nephew and his best friend who lives right next door they were standing right next to each other on the deck of my brother-in-law's house for a picnic we were having, a cookout, and they were texting each other. They were touching one another with their elbows as they were communicating with each other. They could have just spoken to one another. If they wanted to keep it secret, they could have whispered, but they were doing it through text. Because that's how the younger generations do it now.
You know, I only have a telephone, an answering machine, and a television.
Yes.
I don't have no computer, and for work, I understand. But for all in the family, also I have 2 small grandchildren. They have this, they have this, they have this. When I am there, they are not allowed to do it. I said, even it messes the family life up. One sits in this room, watches the television, one sits this, and then on this, or one wants to do something. That's the reason. It messes also the family life up, and there's some parents are straight. But I have, if I need something, and I tell everything where I do business with. I want to have everything in writing and everything by mail. I have no this. I know I can use my children in emergency, but where I do business with, they don't. I want to, and that is the reason also, not all in Europe even, and here in America. That's the reason that most of the children don't be good in reading, because they have only the things. And then you sit in the car, my granddaughter goes to college, and she has this on. I said, when you drive with me, you're not allowed to throw the whole window.
All right, Jay, go back for a couple frames for just a second. I'll go back to the graph that shows that. I think it's neat that there's a lot of folks that get on Facebook. But right now, the folks that get on Facebook and they communicate, it's a small portion or a portion of our church. It's a closed group that anybody can be a part of. It's not like you're not allowed, but it's kind of it's what's called a closed group. You got to be invited by somebody to be a part of it. Okay? And there's a lot of communication that goes on there. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because that's a good thing, because a lot of people are communicating. Communication's good. But then there's a lot of people who are outside of that who aren't getting the same communications. We've got a Facebook page that's currently on the old website. The old website's going to go away soon. We're going to start brand new. We're going to put a new website together, and some of y'all are going to help us make it happen. We're going to make it
All
interactive.
of us are going to make it.
Yes. What's that?
All of us are going to
Yes,
make it.
yes. And it's going to be innovative, but it's also going to be something I'm going to recommend. It's not, part of what I'm struggling with is we have so much that's done off-site that we have to go through so many different channels to communicate. And I think if we can use the church office as the main hub where things go out, it doesn't change anything about all of us giving the information that needs to go out. And certainly not anybody having control over it, but it's having it coordinated. And so we're going to start looking at maybe figuring out a website that kind of works in the church office. That Rebecca has a lot to do with how it gets done and gets out, let that be part of her job description. And we're going to work on something interactive. We're going to work on something when people go to our website, it screams people of all ages. It's got pictures, and it's energetic. It's got links to video information about the church, and it's going to be easy to navigate. So the simplest novice at trying to figure out how to do computers can get on our website and learn everything they need to know. I want us to continue to use Facebook, but I want to figure out how to get it to where everybody's able to do it. I want to figure out how to start using Twitter, we'll do Instagram, anything that's out there technology that we can use, let's use it, but let's use all of them. Okay? We can't just use something that's not for everybody.
But the people that can reach over these telecommuter things, they need to learn to come to the church. And they need to get the body of Christ and the blood of Christ, and just watching it on their little computers and stuff. They need to be in Bible study, they need to do this. It's a good way to reach them. But
Yes.
that's not the whole thing.
No, you're right. But part of what we're talking about doing is Todd said just a few minutes ago, we're not gonna, we need to have a good website.
Give an example real quick.
Give an example.
Okay, so imagine the laundry thing, and that became a ministry here at Advent. The website would be, well, okay, so you paid for my laundry. I want to learn a little bit more about you and where you come from and why you're doing this. I want to hear more about this organization that's helping you put this together, putting the joy in your heart to come out here and do this ministry for you. I want to learn more. Can you do that? Well, you could give them a little business card, you could give them a little pamphlet, or maybe you can give them a whole lot of information all at once. And that's really what it is. I mean, it's not really, yes, some people are going to find you doing a Google search. Some people are going to just happen to come across you. But for the most part, you're going to be touched in a different way. You're going to be touched by a person, by an experience. And that's going to direct you and encourage you to want to learn more about it. And that's really where
It's a tool in addition to what we're already doing. And imagine some of the, we could be doing interactive Bible studies in the chat rooms and helping talk about college kids. We can stay in touch with them through our ministry here. The kids that go off to college, they can, if they don't find a Lutheran church where they're going to school, they can sit at their computer on Sunday morning and worship with us, the people that they know. So it's a tool, but it doesn't take the place of the presence and the personal touch.
Can't make it to church this morning, the kids are sick. I'm still there waiting on watching online.
It's not in place, we certainly want people here, but here's a tool for something else. Okay, we're getting late, so I want to move on real quick. This is stuff for us too. What, was there one more?
Miss Catherine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to piggyback on what Todd was saying, that it is a tool, because at St. Paul Lutheran Church in Pensacola, they just went live and was able to have a baptism via Skype and streaming, but especially Skype for the godparents who could not come. Well, the godfather was serving in the Middle East somewhere and could not be there to sponsor his godchild. And what a wonderful tool it was. And it's not because he didn't want to be there or it wasn't in place of, but it made it possible for him to be there for his godchild. And so I think that's what we need to think of. We're not trying to get rid of our traditions, but to expand them so that others can share when they can't be here.
And what about our servicemen that are overseas?
Yeah. And again, these are things that are in addition to what we're already doing. They're not in place of. We're not going to get rid of stuff that's going well and say just because we've got to be more modern. We're going to add to what we're currently doing so that we can reach more people. Okay? Next slide real quick. This is the key. We can put a great website together, but if we're not listening to the people in our community, it's not going to do a whole lot of good. And that's part of what was just shared. In fact, I was talking about this example of it's that interaction person to person, and they say, well, tell me more about your church. Well, if we got the technology that they can go to the website, that is a great way to do that. But it comes from listening. We got to be listening more than anything to what's going on around us. Next.